And Dr. Rand Simpson says he supports his party's position not to contest the by-election.
In news from the rest of the world, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrives in Haiti to show U.S. support for fighting gang violence.
Michel Barnier named as France's new prime minister.
In headline sports, Cheyenne Salmon runs lifetime best to lead 3 Jamaican winners at Zurich Diamond League meeting in Switzerland.
And later on our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, Mark Golding has completed the renunciation of his British citizenship. So too, the JLP's Matthew Samuda and the PNP spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson. We'll have analysis.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, should we switch from the PEP? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, after serving in the JCF for more than 40 years, Deputy Commissioner in charge of crime Fitz Bailey is retiring. He'll join us to look back at his years in the force.
And at 8, it's Jamaican Dads with Dennis Brooks, Garth Williams, Marlon Campbell, and Floyd Green.
All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, jm.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, it's Thursday, September 5, 2024.
News at 5 is brought to you by the new Crunchy Box from KFC. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, a biscuit, and Pepsi for only $850. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Nationwide News understands that a special investigation report submitted to the House of Representatives this morning is in relation to Prime Minister Holness's uncertified statutory declarations. The Prime Minister's declarations have been the subject of intense political debate for almost 3 years. The Integrity Commission confirmed on Thursday that it has submitted 2 reports and their associated indicative rulings to Parliament for tabling. That immediately sparked intense speculation about the contents of the report. Siobhan Campbell reports.
Prime Minister Holness's statutory declarations have remained uncertified by the Integrity Commission since 2021. This has sparked relentless attacks by the opposition People's National Party on the Prime Minister. Opposition leader Mark Golding has repeatedly seized the opportunity to question the integrity of the Prime Minister due to the lack of certification. Throughout this period, the country's anti-corruption watchdog has been deafeningly silent on the matter. However, the Commission partially lifted its silence earlier this year with its annual report. It revealed that it was nearing the completion of the certification process for the Prime Minister's declarations. Today, the Integrity Commission disclosed that it has submitted to Parliament a report of investigation, an associated indicative ruling, and the full ruling from its Director of Corruption Prosecution. Additionally, a special report under Section 36(3) of the Integrity Commission Act, highlighting matters of urgent parliamentary interest, has also been submitted to the Parliament. Section 36(3) of the Act allows the Commission to present a report on any issue deemed deserving of special parliamentary attention. The Commission confirmed that these documents were officially received and signed for at Parliament at 11:42 Thursday morning. Hard copies of the investigation report were delivered in separate envelopes with identical letters addressed to Speaker of the House Juliet Holness, Senate President Tom Tavares Finson, and Clerk to the Houses of Parliament Colleen Lowe. Notably, the reports were also sent to Deputy Speaker of the House, Heroy Clark. Submitting a copy to the Deputy Speaker is rare. The only other instance was in the case involving former House Speaker Marissa Dalrymple Filbert. In September 2023, the Integrity Commission's Director of Investigations, Kevon Stevenson, referred Mrs. Dalrymple Filbert to the Director of Corruption Prosecution for allegedly making false statements related to a vehicle purchased in 2015 that was not included in her statutory declarations for 2015 to 2021. Mrs. Dalrymple Filbert has denied any wrongdoing, attributing the omission to a genuine error. With Parliament set to resume on September 17, the nation may be mere days away from hearing the findings of the IC about why it has not certified the Prime Minister's declarations. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Opposition leader and president of the People's National Party, Mark Golding, has completed the renunciation of his British citizenship. The PNP's General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, confirmed the development with Nationwide News this afternoon. Nationwide News has also confirmed that two other prominent politicians caught up in the British dual citizenship saga have also completed the process of renunciation. The two are the JLP's presumptive candidate for the North East St. Anne by-election, Matthew Samuda, and opposition spokesman on finance and member of Parliament for South East St. Andrew, the PNP's Julian Robinson. Shalois Michael has the latest.
Opposition leader Mark Golding came under intense scrutiny after it was revealed he held a dual allegiance to Britain and Jamaica. Although the Jamaican Constitution does not prohibit a Commonwealth citizen from serving in the House of Representatives or as a Prime Minister, a Blue Dot poll conducted in June revealed that 61% of Jamaicans believed Mr. Golding should renounce his British citizenship. Under mounting public pressure, the PNP president announced his intention to renounce his British citizenship. He made the announcement at a PNP meeting in late June.
Comrades, we have reached a point now where we have some data on the views of the public on this matter. And while I express my own view is on the way we ought to be going as a country in relation to this issue, I do not want my status to be something which could hold the party back, impact the party negatively, or any of our candidates who are on the road to victory in difficult seats which we're looking to win, to have any kind of disadvantage because of my status. So as a result of that, I have decided to take that issue off the table by renouncing my British.
Checks with the PNP Secretariat Thursday afternoon confirmed that Mr. Golding had completed the process. Similarly, his opposition spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson, confirmed to Nationwide this afternoon that he has received confirmation of his renunciation. Mr. Robinson says he has his certificate in hand. Nationwide News understands both Golding and Robinson started the process of renunciation at the same time. Meanwhile, JLP presumptive candidate for the North East St. Anne by-election, Matthew Samuda, has confirmed he's done all that is required of him to renounce his British citizenship. Matthew Samuda disclosed last May that he'd started the process. In a statement to Nationwide News on Wednesday, the former cabinet minister and senator revealed that he is no longer the holder of a British passport. Mr. Samuda says he received confirmation that he's submitted the requisite documents and is now awaiting the certificate from his British Home Office. Samuda recently stepped down from both the cabinet and the Senate to vie for the seat in the September 30 by-election. Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
A member of the governing Jamaica Labour Party's Communications Task Force, Marlon Morgan, is accusing the PNP of blatant hypocrisy in its criticism of his party's decision to call a by-election in North East St. Anne. Mr. Morgan is contending that the PNP is engaging in the very same political manoeuvring it condemns by opting not to contest the by-election despite their professed commitment to principles.
When in truth and in fact, you are basically being hypocrites in the grand scheme of things, because you are very much aware that prime ministers are going to make certain considerations as to the convening of whether it is general elections or respective by-elections. And the very reason why the PNP is not electing to contest a by-election just called or announced for North East St. Anne is its own political calculation that it may not fare favorably in those polls, and it wouldn't want to demoralize its supporters, and it wouldn't want to lose ground in terms terms of any political momentum. So their case is not a principled one. They're not standing on principle. It is an expedient political and partisan consideration that they have made as to why they're not facing the starters when September 11 comes and when September 30 comes.
Opposition leader Mark Golding had denounced the by-election schedule less than 24 hours after Marsha Smith's resignation as MP as both shocking and unprecedented. Golding says the PNP will abstain from participating in what he deems an undemocratic political ploy. However, speaking on Cliff Hughes Online, Morgan charged that the PNP, now bereft of innovative ideas and a compelling campaign platform, is capitalizing on the short memories and ignorance of many Jamaicans.
They can't come to the people with any compelling ideas and a platform on which they're seeking to be elected. It is very clear that their campaign is going to be predicated on exploiting people's short memory, for those who they perceive as having short memories, and in worst case, they're going to be exploiting the ignorance of people, those who just don't know. People who wouldn't know that patterns, for example, had a long period at times between when elections were held, particularly local government elections. So they know that memories are short, they know that some people are gullible, and they know that some folks are just downright ignorant. And that is what their entire campaign, I am seeing from now, is going to be centered around.
Marlon Morgan, member of the GLP's Communication Task Force.
Meanwhile, the PNP's standard bearer in Northeast St. Anne, Dr. Ryan Simpson, says he supports his party's position not to contest the by-election.
I support wholeheartedly the position of the party. It baffles me that it appears to me that the senator and some Jamaican people would expect that we should, if an error or a bad judgment call was made in the past, we should justify by continuing in that error, so that, you know, the position that the People's National Party has taken today on principle that we would not contest a constituency election 1 year out from a general election because it is just not in the best interest of the taxpayer and the Jamaican people.
Dr. Simpson is dismissing the suggestion that the PNP boycott of the election is due to its fear of a Samuda victory. According to Simpson, Samuda should be the one who is afraid of him.
If anyone is afraid, it has to be the Jamaican Labour Party. They know that Mr. Samuda could never face me on level ground, one-on-one, and win. Unless the only way Mr. Samuda would have beaten me is in my sleep with a piece of stick. And they know that. The moment I entered Northeast St. Anne, the campaign began. Started to force the Member of Parliament to resign. This is not a surprise. We knew Marsha Smith was going to resign ultimately. They have been actively campaigning for the last year and a half. Mr. Samuda has been in North East St. Anne pretending to be the Member of Parliament, although North East St. Anne had an elected Member of Parliament for that time.
Dr. Ryan Simpson, PNP standard bearer in Northeast St. Anne.
And in news, just in, a 31-year-old music producer, Chadwick Young, of Main Street, Christiana, Manchester, has been charged for causing death by dangerous driving in relation to Monday's fatal crash in Sedberg in the parish. Young, who was the driver of a Range Rover, believed to be responsible for the deadly head-on motor vehicle collision, was charged earlier this afternoon. The crash claimed the life of 10-year-old Trevon Sanchez. Trevon was a grade 6 student of Christiana Least Primary School in northeast Manchester. Reports are that at about 7:30 a.m. he and his mother were travelling in a Honda Fit when a Range Rover travelling in the opposite direction came into their lane, resulting in the collision. Trevon's mother, a police constable, was seriously injured in the crash. She remains admitted in hospital in stable condition. You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
15 minutes after 5.
Rent-A-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-A-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-A-Kill is
33 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 31 out west in Montego Bay. Continuing the news, Chairman of the board at St. James High School, Christopher McCurdy, says Joseph Williams should be sacked as principal. This following fresh allegations of breaches of the Education Code. A few months after he expelled 2 students without due process, the controversial principal has found himself at the center of another misconduct charge. It involves the unlawful termination of 4 teachers just before the start of the new school year. Mahiri Stewart reports.
The termination letter sent to at least one of the teachers, Tiana Taylor, says she was being dismissed on the basis of an unsatisfactory performance evaluation. It was signed only by the principal. According to the school's chairman, Christopher McCurdy, he refused to sign the termination letters as the school did not provide any evidence to support its claim of the teacher's poor performance. In Miss Taylor's case, the only evaluation done was conducted after she had been sent the termination letter. The evaluation, a copy of which our news center has seen, the teacher scored 45 out of 65 from her grade supervisor. She scored 50 out of 65 from her head of department and 56 out of 65 from the vice principal. The head of department commented that Miss Taylor is receptive of constructive criticism and accepts it as a way of improving her craft. The vice principal's comments noted that Miss Taylor is respectful but lacks proper classroom control. The vice principal also said the first-year teacher needs to settle down and be more effective in her role. For the principal's comment, Williams wrote, quote, unsatisfactory performance, end quote. But Chairman McCurdy says Miss Taylor's evaluation does not warrant dismissal.
I have not seen anything on here coming from the farm teacher, the HOD, the vice principal, nor the principal that suggests that her performance was poor and the school put a system in place to fix the problem.
Mr. McCurdy reiterated that this is not the first time the principal has not followed procedures. But the board chairman says he doesn't have the full support of his members to take further action against the principal.
An individual is conflicted on a matter that is being discussed, and the individual refused to recuse themselves. You had to cancel your meeting. And since then, what I notice is happening now, when you call a meeting, George, that block of persons don't show up. And what that does for you, George?
No quorum. Yeah.
How do you operate in that field?
He says Williams should not still be principal of St. James High.
The principal should have been gone long ago. Let me explain why. While people might see the principal as a good thing for St. James High School back then, when you bring an excavator in to clear an area, and the area is cleared, do you still need that excavator? No. You need a different piece of equipment. I think the days of the brute force and the bully and the aggression that St. James needed 25 or 20 years ago is no longer there. It needs new face. It needs fresh ideas. It needs a better approach to how we deal with people.
Mr. McCurdy says he'll be seeking the intervention of the Education Ministry.
I will have a discussion, as I said to you before, I'll have a discussion with the Member of Parliament, and I will have a discussion with the Minister, and we will take it from there.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Mr. McCurdy says he'll be instructing the school not to bar the teachers who have received termination letters.
I am going to instruct the school to allow her to go to work. I cannot say to you how that will be dealt with on the ground. I don't want to go on the ground and to use physical means of doing so, because that's not what we're about. However, I'll be writing to the school this morning to deal with that specific matter, and instruction will be issued for her to return to work. As far as we are concerned, there's no reason for her to be out.
Christopher McCurdy, chairman of the St. James High School Board, speaking on Nationwide this morning.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has arrived in Haiti to reaffirm the U.S. government's commitment to a multinational mission to fight gangs in the country and push for long-awaited general elections. 400 Kenyan police have been deployed to Haiti to lead a UN-backed mission to quell gang violence in the Haitian capital and beyond. But concerns have grown that the mission lacks enough funding and equipment. On Wednesday, U.S. Assistant Secretary for Western Hemisphere Affairs Brian Nichols stated that the Biden administration was considering a UN peacekeeping operation. The mission is being considered as one way to secure money and resources to fight gangs that can control 80% of Haiti's capital.
President Emmanuel Macron has named Michel Barnier as France's new Prime Minister. Barnier is the European Union's former chief Brexit negotiator. The announcement comes almost 2 months after France's snap elections ended in political stalemate. Barnier, who is 73 years old, is the oldest of the 26 prime ministers who have served modern France's Fifth Republic.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories in nationwide news at this hour, widespread speculation as Prime Minister Andrew Holness's uncertified statutory declarations are the subject of a special investigation report.
That report was submitted to the House of Representatives this morning by the Integrity Commission.
Opposition leader Mark Golding has completed the renunciation of his British citizenship.
So too Julian Robinson and Matthew Samuda.
PNP's standard bearer in North East St. Anne, Dr. Ryan Simpson, says he supports his party's position not to contest the by-election. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robeanne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by the new Crunchy Box from KFC. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and a Pepsi for just $850. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
On Sunday, August 11th, in the quiet community of Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, our entire nation was shaken by a brutal act of violence.
Gangsters mercilessly took the lives of 8 innocent Jamaicans, including a 7-year-old boy.
These criminals will strike again, destroying more families and more communities unless we stand together to stop them.
If you have any information that can help bring these killers to justice, please share it with the security forces.
The government has established a reward fund of $25 million for information leading to the arrest and charge of the perpetrators who committed this heinous act.
The facilitators who supply them with the arms, intelligence, and the transportation.
And those who harbor and protect these criminals after the crime.
If you know something, say something.
Call Crime Stop at 311, MOCA at 888-6622-847, the NIB at 811, or JDF at 837-8888.
Together,
we
will defeat the gangs
and develop a culture of peace in our country.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
We've been a part of everyday Jamaican life for over 25 years. From paydays to birthdays, unexpected emergencies to anniversary celebrations, the supermarket checkout line, or paying a bill or taxes on time. Our fast, secure debit network provides reliable service so you can always depend on Multilink. Jamaican and proud, fast, secure, everywhere.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Former Hydel High School standout Cheyenne Salmon today crafted a lifetime best performance in the women's 400 meters hurdles to lead home 3 Jamaican winners at the Zurich Diamond League meeting in Switzerland. Salmon clocked 52.49 seconds to win ahead of the American Anna Cockrell in 53.17. Geneve Russell took fourth in 54.75 and Anjanette Knight 6:55.42. Russian Clark won the men's event in a season's best 47.49 to lead home Samba Adahiram of Qatar, also in the season's best 47.58. The 2022 World Under-20 champion says his main goal was to secure a lane in the Diamond League final set for next weekend.
It meant a lot because I come out here trying to get myself into the Diamond League finals. So I came out here to rack up as much points as possible, and I came out with a win. I'm very pleased with my first Diamond League win. And it came in Zurich. What better place? It's just strong-minded. I have a disappointment in Paris, and that keep me pushing and to make myself even better. Come back stronger from they did not finish in the finals of the Olympic game. So I use that as motivation to keep my season going.
The other Jamaican winner was world and Olympic silver medalist Wayne Pinnock, who did 8 meters 18 to take the men's long jump title. Pinnock was finally beating the man who denied him global gold in Budapest and Paris. Maltiadis Tentoglu, who was second with 8 meters 02, and Tajay Gale 6 to 7 meters 85. Meanwhile, Tia Clayton was sixth in the women's 100 meters in 11.09 seconds. The American world champion Shakira Richardson won in 10.84. She avenged her Olympic Games defeat to Julian Alfred, who was second in 10.88. Hansel Parchment finished fourth in the 110 meters hurdles in 13.18. A victory going to the world and Olympic champion Grant Holloway of the USA, 12.99. Daniel Williams finished sixth in the 100 hurdles in 12.57. Lamar Distin was eighth in the women's high jump, 1 meter 85, and Ginger Campbell was eighth in the men's shot put with 20 meters 19. Ugandan marathon star Rebecca Cheptegei has died days after being doused in petrol and set on fire by her former boyfriend. The 33-year-old Cheptegei, who finished 44th in the marathon at the Paris and Paris Olympic Games, suffered extensive burns after Sunday's attack. Authorities in northwestern Kenya, where Cheptegei lived and trained, said she was targeted after returning home from church with her 2 daughters. A report filed by a local administrator alleged the athlete and her ex-partner had been wrangling over a piece of land. There are concerns about the increasing cases of violence against female athletes in Kenya. Cheptegei is the third to have been killed since October 2021. Her father, Joseph, told reporters that he had lost a daughter who was very supportive and asked the Kenyan government to ensure justice is done. National senior men's football team captain Andre Blake says he is fit and ready to lead the national side against Cuba in the CONCACAF Nations League at the National Stadium tomorrow night. The Philadelphia Union #1 is making a return to the side after being out for 4 to 6 weeks following a meniscus surgery in May. Blake says he has had 11 starts since returning to competitive football.
I'm good. I've played 11 games since I've been back. Quick succession games, but, I guess you could say that was a test, and I've passed the test, so I'm good to go.
And he's asking his fellow teammates to set high standards for themselves.
Everybody on the team is going to need to want the ball. Everybody on the team is going to have to be willing to run, defend together, fight for each other. And yeah, I have to agree with Coach. If you want to be a really good team and go to the next level and, compete and beat the US and the Mexicos and even, the bigger teams, you have to be able to do these things and do them consistently. And as you said, if you're not willing to do it, you won't be in the room. And that's as simple as it gets. We have to set high standards and maintain them.
Andre Blake, National Senior Football Team captain. And finally in sports this time, the Caribbean Premier League CPL continues this evening with the Trinbago Knight Riders battling the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons at North Sound Ground. It's set to start at 6 Jamaica time last night in a really wild, crazy game over there in Basseterre. The defending champions Guyana Amazon Warriors and St. Kitts Nevis, they piled up a total well over 400 runs with the Ghana Amazon Warriors winning the game by 40 runs. And the high-scoring game saw Shimron Hitmar clobbering 91 of 39 balls. He blasted 11 sixes as the Warriors raced to 266 for 7 in their 20 overs. Hitmar was ably supported by Ramadullah Gurbaz, who weighed in with 69. They shared in a third-wicket stand of 116. Keema Paul got 38. In reply, the Patriots were bowled out for 226 in 18 overs, but not before Andre Fletcher sizzled with a breathtaking 81 of 33 balls. He blasted 9 sixes and 4 fours. Shafin Rutherford weighed in with 34 and Mikhail Louis 31 against Imran Tahir 3 for 48 and Dwayne Pretorius 2 for 46. That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Can you imagine getting a marketable skill for free? Your government has made it possible for anyone wanting to learn a skill to get free training through the Heart NSTA Trust. Learn a new skill and expand your horizons.
The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:31.
Korean solid surface, so versatile and beautiful. It's non-porous, no sealing necessary, renewable and repairable, so easy to clean and maintain, and can be thermoformed into any shape. Choose Korean, the #1 solid surface in the world, when you want beauty and the best for your countertop. Visit Home International Limited, located at 104 Constance Ring Road. Telephone 755-1970 or 924-0437.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, Nationwide This Morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Public opinion.
Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are a Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a JLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
We've been a part of everyday Jamaican life for over 25 years. From paydays to birthdays, unexpected emergencies to anniversary celebrations, the supermarket checkout line, or paying a bill or taxes on time. Our fast, secure debit network provides reliable service so you can always depend on Multilink. Jamaican and proud, fast, secure, everywhere.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It is 5:36, August 5th, 2024, and it's time for the cover story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And I'm Sanjay Lewis. Actually, September, my month, Siobhan, not August.
Oh, I'm going back in time. Thank you for that,
yes.
September.
But it's cover story time, and opposition leader and president of the People's National Party, the PNP, Mark Golding, has completed the renunciation of his British citizenship. The PNP's General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, confirmed the development with Nationwide News this afternoon.
Nationwide News also confirmed that two other prominent politicians caught up in the dual citizenship saga have also completed the process of renunciation. They are the JLP's presumptive candidate for the North East St. Anne by-election, that's Matthew Samuda, and opposition spokesman on finance and MP for South East St. Andrew, Julian Robinson. Mr. Golding came under intense scrutiny after it was revealed he held a dual allegiance to Britain and Jamaica.
And although the Jamaican Constitution does not prohibit a Commonwealth citizen from serving in the House of Representatives or as Prime Minister, a Blue Dot poll conducted in June revealed that 61% of Jamaicans believed Mr. Golding should renounce his British citizenship. Under mounting public pressure, the PNP president announced his intention to renounce it. Checks with the PNP Secretariat on Thursday confirmed that Mr. Golding had completed the process.
Similarly, Mr. Robinson confirmed to Nationwide News this afternoon that he has received confirmation of his renunciation. He told us he has his certificate in hand. And meanwhile, Matthew Samuda has confirmed he's done all that is required of him to renounce his British citizenship. He says he received confirmation that he submitted the requisite documents and is now awaiting the certificate from the British Home Office. Well, to discuss this further, we're going to be joined by economist and social commentator Sandra Roden and political commentator and editor-in-chief of the Western Mirror, Lloyd B. Smith. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
So starting with you, Sir Smith, your reaction to this latest news. According to Mark Golding and opposition spokesman on finance, they have both completed the renunciation process and they have their certificates in hand.
I don't know. It's not about nothing really. I think it is unfortunate that our politicians only respond when there is public pressure. It would have been the right thing to do from way back when. Gladly, it has now been done, which is good, and I suspect that in terms of how the political landscape is unfolding, it would be unwise for any politician on either side to retain any citizenship status that could conflict with the Constitution precepts. So, yes, we welcome what they have done, but it should have been done long ago, and they should not have had to wait until then public pressure would have been put on them. It speaks to the fact that our politicians continue to take the people for granted, and this is unfortunate.
Lloyd B, your audio is very poor. My producer is just going to reconnect with you. Until then, let's move to Sandra Roden. Your reaction to the development that we heard today, Golding, Samuda, Robinson, they have now renounced their UK citizenship.
Sandra, it sounds like you're quite a ways away from the mic. Can you move a little closer? Oh, I think we've lost Mr. Roden there as well.
Yes. So until then, let's try and reconnect with them, Siobhan. But the politics is clearly around the corner, and this, a couple of weeks ago was the biggest topic about about the renunciation of the UK citizenship. We have now heard that Golding, Sumud, and Robinson, they have all done so, and it was a big deal, especially for the those who were chastising Mr. Golding for being the holder of UK citizenship and want to become Prime Minister of the country. He has now renounced it. It will be interesting, Siobhan, to see what individuals are now saying, and also just generally what the comments will be.
Lloyd B., I hear you're back with us?
Yes, I am. Uh-huh.
So you said much ado about nothing. Do you think this will have any play come the general elections?
I doubt it. The converse would have been true, that if any of these gentlemen had continued to hold the British decision, then certainly their opponents would use it as fodder against them. But, otherwise, I don't think it's going to have much sway in terms of whichever way the political winds go. And as I said before, it's unfortunate that, the country has had to wait this long for them to make the decision, as against their having taken the decision on their own, because what it comes across is that they were forced to make the decision, which does not speak well to the integrity of our politicians in terms of how they deal with our democratic process.
Well, how does the matter of integrity come into play, Lloyd B., when, some have said that all gentlemen, they would have not done anything to breach any aspect of the Constitution. It's perfectly legal for a Commonwealth citizen to sit in the Parliament. So how then would you come to that conclusion?
I come to that conclusion in a very simplistic way. One fountain cannot be a bitter and sweet water. Let's face it, we are a sovereign state, and anyone who wishes to represent the people in this sovereign state should bear allegiance to that sovereign state. Full stop.
Then let me ask you, Lloyd B., if this matter will have no play come election time, do you think then that it's essentially laid to rest, that this will not be an issue going forward, or it will not be brought up again, this whole matter of someone holding dual citizenship while sitting in the Parliament?
Well, I think it would be foolhardy for any other member of Parliament or senator to go that route in the future. Seeing that, the Jamaican people are becoming more and more aware of these things, and especially now that we are moving towards becoming a republic, such infraction will take on tremendous significance. Otherwise, I doubt if it will continue to preoccupy the minds of the electorate. I don't know. It is ironic that we have to be having this discussion when we are talking about Jamaica moving towards getting rid of the British monarchy. One would have thought that in all of that process, everything would have been, shoved through the window in terms of any vestiges of our colonial connections.
Well, we have you back, Sandre. We have Sandre running back with us, so we'd like to give him his opportunity to respond. Go ahead, Sandre.
Yeah, I was saying that it was really much ado about nothing. I think the real impact would have been especially on the opposition leader, because, the conversation about constitutional reform, the idea that he is a presumptive leader if he were to win the next general election, that really put some questions around the opposition leader, especially. Now, when you look at the other two people, you have a cabinet minister, one day could be prime minister, you have a shadow cabinet minister, presumptive future leader of the People's National Party as well. And those questions continue in the minds of Jamaican people, because it has been, dual citizenship has been a conversation introduced in politics from years past. Yes, this one is a legal dual citizenship, but the question is loyalty, and especially in the case of the opposition leader, that question was a big question in the past couple of months, and the fact that it took public pressure structure, it leaves question marks about, were these people really loyal to Jamaica in the first place? Those are the questions that I know a lot of people would just really want to ask.
And do you think, Sanjay, that coming as the election is around the corner, this will be featured any at all in the election about the time that the opposition leader, how long he took to start the process to renounce his UK citizenship?
Yeah, I think the Jamaica Labour Party would be well within their right to do that. It'd be a foolish move not to include that in the conversation, because I think it has been a major political topic. As small a topic that it is when you consider the grand scheme of things, it became a major political topic. So I do expect that. If it doesn't come up, then, well, that would be a bit strange in my eyes. But when you look at it, I think it's one of the topics that will come up as it relates to loyalty, especially noting the language that would have been used surrounding the opposition leader from the Jamaica Labour Party over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. All right, gentlemen, we have to leave it there. Thank you, as always, economist and social commentator Sandra Roden, and political commentator and editor-in-chief at the Western Mirror, Lloyd B. Smith. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
You're most welcome.
We are up on the break. Let's take the break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss the matter of the economy and the announcement made yesterday that the economic growth has been stalled. We're going to speak with two economists when we come back.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:47.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Jackhammer. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Drive Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
Welcome back, listeners, viewers, to the cover story, and we are now shifting gears over to the economy. The Jamaican economy failed to register meaningful growth for the April to June quarter of this year. Gross domestic product for the period was flat, with the economy growing by a negligible 0.1%. That's according to the latest information provided by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, at its quarterly media briefing on Wednesday.
Both the goods producing and services industries recorded less than 1% growth. On the goods producing side, average growth was 0.7% for the period. This was mainly driven by a 6.2% increase in the mining and quarrying sector.
It was followed by a 2.7% improvement in agriculture, while the services industry grew by only 0.1%. For the first time in years, hotels and restaurants did not lead growth in this segment of the economy. That industry, which represents tourism, improved by only 0.1%.
Electricity and water supply was the only sector to significantly improve, with a growth rate of 2.7%. All other sectors in the service industry grew between 1% and 0.1% or declined for the period. The PIOJ is also estimating that the economy will contract in the next quarter due to the impact of Hurricane Beryl. Well, to help us to understand this and to discuss more, we're joined by economist Keenan Faulkner and also opposition spokesperson on science, technology, and innovation and entrepreneurship, Dr. Andre Horton. Gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon to you too. It's good being here. Keenan, what's up? Yeah, what's up?
Wonderful. Let me start with you, Keenan. What's your reaction to this announcement made yesterday by the PIOJ?
Well, I don't think it's really surprising. What we're seeing now is a natural deceleration in economic output as a result of that post-COVID boom losing steam. So growth would have been also constrained by the very tight monetary environment of the last 3 years. Economic activity would have been muted owing to the difficulties of companies for getting cheap credit. A couple months ago we saw that corporate income tax was also down as a result of profits being squeezed. Companies that are planning expansion, particularly in some industries like construction, estate, manufacturing, those would have also gone down. Construction has been going down for the last couple quarters. So, it's not surprising to me, regardless of whether or not we would have had burial, we would have been slowing down anyway. So, even in the absence of burial, economic activity would have started to decelerate. But I don't think there's any indication that we're set to have a recession. I mean, the next quarter, July to September, will go down, but it might rebound in the last quarter of the year, September to December, because of reconstruction associated with burial, as well as the heightened seasonal activity that you usually find closer to Christmas. So the figures being muted, we've had 12 consecutive quarters of economic growth, but that steam post-COVID is going away. I know the BOJ has loosened its monetary stance so that liquidity can start to flow in the economy, but you won't start to see those effects for now.
So, Dr. Horton, what about your take on this situation? This is a natural deceleration in the economy, as Keenan has put it?
Yeah, what is happening is that Jamaica is going back to its natural growth path that it was on prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. If you study the numbers, you would have realized that we found it very difficult to grow beyond 1 or 2%. What happened with the COVID-19 pandemic was an anomaly, and the economy slumped by 10%. The economy has recovered since, but fundamentally, what is being highlighted is that we have not found a way how to stabilize and put ourselves on a natural positive growth path. If you can remember, in 2016, the government came out and said that they want to grow by 5% in 4 years, which would have meant that by 2019, we should be growing on average by 5%. Before COVID-19, we were still growing by the regular 1%. And after COVID-19, we are still growing at the regular 1%. Fundamentally, we are not being clever in the economy. The economy is not being managed properly as it relates to economic growth. What we have is a lot of jobs being created, but these jobs are low-level jobs. We're not tackling the productivity issue head-on. If you read my book, Overcoming Productivity Challenges in Small Countries, then what we do is to dichotomize each industry and show how they use labor. And what we recognize is that a lot of industries have a lot of people working there who are not adding to the productivity of these industries. We recognize the slowdown that would happen in the construction industry, a lot of unsold units, especially in real estate construction. And then we have a lot of construction that have been slowing down, our government construction projects, private construction projects, because the amount of revenues that these construction participants were expecting, they have not been receiving it. So there are a lot of unsold units across the corporate area and across Jamaica. We have to now be serious about our economic objectives. And it's not just about creating jobs, it's about the quality of the jobs that we create for a nation of such remarkable people, and it's about how we put our economic focus. So fundamentally, agriculture is an important basket in our overall production process, and I'm not seeing where we are looking at the agricultural offerings and trying to build dams across the country to harvest water, store water, and redistribute water. Energy is always a big problem. We are not seeing where we are diversifying and using innovation to really reduce the cost of energy. If you can think about Jamaica and you think about our largest growth spurt, the last one took place at the end of the 1960s, and this occurred with bauxite expansion, tourism expansion, and fundamentally manufacturing expansion. At that time, based on the numbers, manufacturing represented about 10% of the GDP. And yesterday I had a class, and I was talking to my students, and I said, look on yourselves, on your person, and list an item that is made in Jamaica. And out of a class of 78 students, only one girl had on a necklace made in Jamaica. And I said, go further, go home, look around your house, in your kitchen, in your bedroom, and so on. What is made in Jamaica? And for me, my mattress is made in Jamaica. I mean, my chest of joy is also made in Jamaica. And it's the same for them. 90% of their household items are made abroad. Back in the 1960s, we used to produce gas stoves that we could purchase locally as well as sell the rest abroad. We produce Goodyear tires out in St. Thomas and so on and so forth. We produce garments in Montego Bay. So the idea is this: we have to begin to look structurally at the economy, look at each industry, and recognize what it is going to take to move each industry forward. Otherwise, we're going back to square one, and that is where we will continue to be, which we have always been for the last 40 years.
Let me hear you on that, Keenan, because you've heard Dr. Horton, the matter of growth. For a very long time, we've been stuck at 1%. What do we need to do to get on that path to improve our growth here in the country?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with Dr. Horton. It's a long-standing structural issue that we've been dealing with for decades, and we need to seriously address three things simultaneously, if possible. We need to update our industrial policy. We need to do that in tandem with the productivity policy that's also being developed. And we also need to pursue meaningful labor market reform. And in order to get the kind of growth that we want of the order of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9%, we have to begin to now remove these structural constraints in the economy. Think about things like the high cost of energy. You think about how we train the labor market. Education and training is the base, especially when our economy is so heavily tilted towards services. You think about crime, you think about corruption, which eats up so much of our GDP every single year. You think about other structural access to credit for certain industries that can't cause them to grow and expand. And the World Bank, when they used to produce their doing business report, they produce a laundry list of these items every single year that we grapple with currently. And these challenges, high cost of energy, is another one, right? All of these long-standing issues we have not sufficiently addressed, and so we can't expect growth to really be leapfrogging us into a different era that is not one of low wage, low growth, low technology.
Dr. Horton, I don't want to turn this into a political partisan matter, but many of these structural issues you rightfully identified, have existed for decades, going back to, as you put it, the 1980s, with many of these fledgling industries being shut down during that period of time. Then why has that message now come to us that these things must change and have not been changing for the past couple of years? Past 2 decades, I should say.
Yeah, I remember in the 1980s, it was a transitional phase for Jamaica. We were just coming out of a couple of oil price shocks. Overall, that was the time when Jamaica was trying to restructure its economy and try to achieve our own independence in production and productive efforts. If you had recalled, during the 1980s, when Edward Seaga was the Prime Minister of Jamaica, our reserves went negative by 1988, with the passage of Hurricane Gilbert as well added to that, and that is why we had a change of government to Michael Manley by 1989. Fundamentally, most of Jamaica's leaders have been lawyers, And what has happened is that we have specialized in creating rules and laws and putting the right plans in place, but they have never been economic-driven plans. They have been legislative plans to maintain the status quo and to keep the average Jamaican outside of our natural productive pursuits. Remember, Jamaica has been a slavery economy, and what has happened is that we have big businesses who are given monopoly treatments in some industries. We have big businesses who they make certain decisions. So take chicken, for example, we have an oligopolistic type of nature existing there. You're the only ones that people can import citrus, etc., etc.
Dr. Hutton, I'd love to, Dr. Hutton.
Leadership.
Dr. Hutton, I apologize, but I'm getting the wrap-up signal. It's 6 o'clock, and I wanted to give you the last word, but I have to wrap up. I thank you for your time, Dr. Hutton. Dr. Hutton is the opposition spokesperson on science and technology and innovation and entrepreneurship for the People's National Party, and we also have with us economist Keenan Faulkner. Thank both of you gentlemen for joining us this evening.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks so much.
That is it for the cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is...
6:01.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Nationwide News understands that a special investigation report submitted to the House of Representatives this morning is in relation to Prime Minister Andrew Holness's uncertified statutory declarations. The Integrity Commission confirmed on Thursday that it has submitted 2 reports and their associated indicative rulings to Parliament for tabling. Siobhan Campbell reports.
Prime Minister Holness's statutory declarations have remained uncertified by the Integrity Commission since 2021. This has sparked relentless attacks by the opposition People's National Party on the Prime Minister. Opposition leader Mark Golding has repeatedly seized the opportunity to question the integrity of the Prime Minister due to the lack of certification. Throughout this period, the country's anti-corruption watchdog has been deafeningly silent on the matter. However, the Commission partially lifted its silence earlier this year with its annual report. It revealed that it was nearing the completion of the certification process for the Prime Minister's declarations. Today, the Integrity Commission disclosed that it has submitted to Parliament a report of investigation, an associated indicative ruling, and the full ruling from its Director of Corruption Prosecution. Additionally, a special report under Section 36(3) of the Integrity Commission Act, highlighting matters of urgent parliamentary interest, has also been submitted to the Parliament. Section 36(3) of the Act allows the Commission to present a report on any issue deemed deserving of special parliamentary attention. The Commission confirmed that these documents were officially received and signed for at Parliament at 11:42 Thursday morning. Hard copies of the investigation report were delivered in separate envelopes with identical letters addressed to Speaker of the House Juliet Holness, Senate President Tom Tavares Finson, and Clerk to the Houses of Parliament Colleen Lowe. Notably, the reports were also sent to Deputy Speaker of the House, Heroy Clark. Submitting a copy to the Deputy Speaker is rare. The only other instance was in the case involving former House Speaker Marissa Dalrymple Filbert. In September 2023, the Integrity Commission's Director of Investigations, Kevon Stevenson, referred Mrs. Dalrymple Filbert to the Director of Corruption Prosecution for allegedly making false statements related to a vehicle purchased in 2015 that was not included in her statutory declarations for 2015 to 2021. Mrs. Dalrymple Filbert has denied any wrongdoing, attributing the omission to a genuine error. With Parliament set to resume on September 17, The nation may be mere days away from hearing the findings of the IC about why it has not certified the Prime Minister's declarations. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Opposition leader and president of the People's National Party, Mark Golding, has completed the renunciation of his British citizenship. The PNP's General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, confirmed the development with Nationwide News this afternoon. Nationwide News has also confirmed that 2 other prominent politicians caught up in the British dual citizenship saga have also completed the process of renunciation. The 2 are the JLP's presumptive candidate for the North East St. Anne by-election, Matthew Semuda, and opposition spokesman on finance and MP for South East St. Andrew, the PNP's Julian Robinson. A member of the JLP's communication task force, Marlon Morgan, is accusing the PNP of blatant hypocrisy in its criticism of his party's decision to call a by-election for North East St. Anne.
When in truth and in fact, you are basically being hypocrites in the grand scheme of things, because you are very much aware that prime ministers are going to make certain considerations as to the convening of whether it is general elections or respective by-elections. And the very reason why the PNP is not electing to contest a by-election just called or announced for North East St. Anne is its own political calculation that it may not fare favorably in those polls, and it wouldn't want to demoralize its supporters, and it wouldn't want to lose ground in terms of any political momentum. So their case is not a principled one. They're not standing on principle. It is an expedient political and partisan consideration that they have made as to why they're not facing the starters when September 11 comes and when September 30 comes.
Morgan charged that the PNP, now bereft of innovative ideas and a compelling campaign platform, is capitalizing on the short memories and ignorance of many Jamaicans.
They can't come to the people with any compelling ideas and a platform on which they're seeking to be elected. It is very clear that their campaign is going to be predicated on exploiting people's short memory, for those who they perceive as having short memories, and in worst case, they're going to be exploiting the ignorance of people, those who just don't know. People who wouldn't know that patterns, for example, had a long period at times between when elections were held, particularly local government elections. So they know that memories are short, they know that some people are gullible, and they know that some folks are just downright ignorant. And that is what their entire campaign, I am seeing from now, is going to be centered around.
Marlon Morgan, member of JLP's Communication Task Force. Meanwhile, the PNP's standard bearer in North East St. Anne, Dr. Ryan Simpson, says he supports his party's position not to contest the by-election.
I support wholeheartedly the position of the party. It baffles me that it appears to me that the senator and some Jamaican people would expect that we should, if an error or a bad judgment call was made in the past, we should justify by continuing in that error, so that, you know, the position that the People's National Party has taken today on principle that we would not contest a constituency election 1 year out from a general election because it is just not in the best interest of the taxpayer and the Jamaican people.
Dr. Ryan Simpson, PNP standard bearer in North East St. Anne. The driver of the Range Rover involved in the crash that claimed the life of 10-year-old Travion Sanchez has been charged with causing death by dangerous driving. He has been identified as 31-year-old Chadwick Young, a music producer of Main Street in Christiana, Manchester. Young was charged on Thursday, 3 days after the collision head-on motor vehicle collision. Trayvon was a grade 6 student at Christiana Lee's Primary School in northeast Manchester. Reports are that about 7:30 on Monday morning, Trayvon and his mother were traveling in a Honda Fit along Sedberg Main Road when a Range Rover traveling in the opposite direction came into their lane, resulting in the fatal collision. Trayvon's mother, who was seriously injured, remains in hospital. Young had fled the scene of the crash, but turned himself into the police the following day. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shaloy Smikle. Sports is next.
Tell them cut the plastic.
It's here! Phase 4 of the ban on single-use plastics, taking us one step closer to the goal of a plastic-free Jamaica. The importation, distribution, sale, and use of single-use plastic food containers are now prohibited. Let's work together towards a cleaner, healthier Jamaica.
The plastic-free summer, just so we start.
A message from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation.
On Sunday, August 11, in the quiet community of Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, our entire nation was shaken by a brutal act of violence.
Gangsters mercilessly took the lives of 8 innocent Jamaicans, including a 7-year-old boy and several women.
These criminals will strike again, destroying more families and more communities unless we stand together to stop them.
If you have any information that can help bring these killers to justice, please share it with the security forces.
The government has established a reward fund of $25 million for information leading to the arrest and charge of the perpetrators who committed this heinous act.
The facilitators who supplied them with arms, intelligence, and transportation.
Those who harbor and protect these criminals after the crime.
If you know something, say something.
Call Crime Stop at 311 MOCA at 888-6622-847.
NIB at 811 or the JDN at 837-8888.
Together, we will defeat the gangs and develop a culture of peace in our country.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Ministry of National Security.
It's back to school time again, and KB is making things easy. Shop online, in-store, or via WhatsApp at 876-788-1405 for a chance to win $150,000 cash, a laptop or a tablet. And it doesn't end there. KB is making everything easy. Pick up in-store or shop online today. Promotion runs from July 15 to September 7, 2024. Easy, that's the KB difference.
Discover something new. Discover the KB difference.
Authorized under Section 50 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Former Hydel High School standout Cheyenne Salmon today crafted a lifetime best performance in the women's 400 meters hurdles to lead home 3 Jamaican winners at the Zurich Diamond League meeting in Switzerland. Salmon clocked 52.49 seconds to win, ahead of the American Anna Cockrell, who clocked 53.17 seconds. Geneve Russell took fourth in 54.75, and Anjanette Knight 6:55.42. Russian Clark won the men's event in a season's best 47.49 seconds to lead home Samba Adahiram of Qatar, also in a season's best 47.58. The 2022 World Under-20 champion says his main goal was to secure a lane in the Diamond League final set for next weekend.
It meant a lot because I come out here trying to get myself into the Diamond League finals. So I came out here to rack up as much points as possible, and I came out with a win. I'm very pleased with my first Diamond League win. And it came in Zurich. What better place? It's just strong-minded. I have a disappointment in Paris, and that keep me pushing and to make myself even better. Come back stronger from they did not finish in the finals of the Olympic game. So I use that as motivation to keep my season going.
The other Jamaican winner was world and Olympic silver medalist Wayne Pinnock, who did 8 meters 18 to take the men's long jump title. Pinnock was finally beating the man who denied him 2 global gold medals in Budapest and Paris. That's Miltiadis Tentoglu, who was second with 8 meters 02, and Teje Gale sixth, 7 meters 85. Meanwhile, Tia Clayton was sixth in the women's 100 meters in 11.09 seconds. America's world champion Sha'Carri Richardson won in 10.84, avenging her Olympic Games defeat to Julian Alfred, who was second in 10.88. Hansel Parchment finished fourth in the 110 meters hurdles in 13.18 seconds. Victory going to the world and Olympic champion Grant Holloway in 12.99. Daniel Williams finished the sixth in the 100 meters hurdles in 12.57 seconds. Lamar Distin was 8th in the women's high jump with 1 meter 85, and Virginia Campbell was also 8th in the men's shot put with 20 meters 19. Jamaica's national senior men's football team captain Andre Blake says he's fit and ready to lead the national side out against Cuba in the CONCACAF Nations League at the National Stadium tomorrow night. The Philadelphia Union starting goalkeeper is making a return to the national team after being out for 4 to 6 weeks following a meniscus surgery in May. Blake says he has had 11 starts since returning to competitive football.
I'm good. I've played 11 games since I've been back. Quick succession games, but I guess you could say that was a test, and I've passed the test, so I'm good to go.
And he's also calling on his fellow players to set high standards for themselves.
Everybody on the team is going to need to want the ball. Everybody on the team is going to have to be willing to run, defend together, fight for each other. And yeah, I have to agree with Coach. If you want to be a really good team and go to the next level and, compete and beat the US and the Mexicos and even, the bigger teams, you have to be able to do these things and do them consistently. And as you said, if you're not willing to do it, you won't be in the room. And that's as simple as it gets. We have to set high standards and maintain them.
National senior football team captain Andre Blake. The Antigua and Barbuda Falcons reached 14 without loss in over number 2 of their Caribbean Premier League encounter against the Trinbago Knight Riders at North Sound Ground in Antigua. Justin Greaves is unbeaten on 11, with him Fakar Zaman on 2. TKR won the toss and they elected to field. Former Jamaica and West Indies wicketkeeper batsman Carlton Bowe Jr. has joined the Windward Islands Volcanoes as an assistant coach. Bowe, who played 21 tests and 47 one-day internationals, signed a one-year contract which took effect on Monday, September 2. He will work closely with head coach Kenroy Peters with a primary focus on sharpening the skills of the team's batsmen. The Volcanoes are currently in preparation for the upcoming Super 50 Cup and the West Indies Championship set to take place next year. Bowe previously worked alongside Shane Brooks with the Jamaica national senior women's team for the past 2 years. He also assisted Andrew Richardson with the Jamaica Scorpions franchise. His experience also includes a successful stint as the coach of Lucas Cricket Club here in Jamaica. And outgoing CEO of Cricket West Indies, Johnny Graves, says it's been an honour serving as CEO of the sports regional governing body. Graves was appointed to the position in February 2017 and will leave office at the end of October. He says the job is a massive responsibility to the fantastic history and legacy of the organisation. Graves says navigating COVID-19 was perhaps the most difficult part of his job.
The most challenging period was probably that 2 years of COVID, when for many of it we weren't sure whether we'd be able to play international sport as we had done before. So it's been a sort of roller coaster 7 years, but one that I've thoroughly enjoyed, and hopefully leaving the organisation at least off the field in a better position than when I started.
Grave came to office after Michael Muir had resigned. During his time at the helm, Grave oversaw 3 World Cup hosted in the West Indies, the 2018 Women's T20 World Cup, the 2022 Under-19 World Cup, and the 2024 Men's T20 World Cup co-hosted with the USA. He was also the T20 World Cup CEO for the event in June this year. Grave says he has received tremendous support from so many people since becoming CEO.
Well, I think I've been really fortunate. All the territorial boards that you mentioned, as well as those sub-boards in the Leewards and Windwards, as well as other key stakeholders, the WEPA, the Players Association, WICIA, the Umpires Association, and all the governments of the region have given us, really good support over the last few years, which is crucial. Thinking back to COVID, we couldn't have done it without the support of the governments, particularly the Ministries of Health, in creating those biosecure environments. The territorial boards are such a crucial part of our cricketing system. They're the ones that really produce the talent.
Johnny Grave. Finally, in sports at this time, Jamaica's male netball team is ready to take on the best in the Americas when they compete at the Netball Championships in St. Kitts and Nevis, and that's September 12 to 18. The 8 competing nations, Jamaica, Antigua and Barbuda, England, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, the USA, and host St. Kitts and Nevis. Chairman of the Male Netball Association, Ricardo Grant, says, as the defending champions, Jamaica will have a target on their back.
Out of the lineup, I'll say St. Vincent and Trinidad might give us a tough fight, and probably England. But as any other sport, you cannot underestimate your opponent. But I think those 3 will probably give us a tough fight.
That's Ricardo Grant, and that's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the hose and tool boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Pack it on a budget, so me reach KFC. New crunchy box smell. That for me a piece of chicken, 2 wings, biscuit, and a drink. Crunchy box of the flavor, so we make the lid. Value for your money, flavor and the taste. KFC, crunchy box run the place. So much variety, the box now no space. KFC, crunchy box run the place.
Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and Pepsi for only $850. KFC is finger-licking good.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, nationwide this morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
A special good evening to our friends on our YouTube. I'm Robianne Williams and welcome to Public Opinion. Good evening to those of you who are in Radio Land. Thank you so much for joining us. In our Public Opinion this evening, we're discussing education, and the Prime Minister Andrew Holness, has described the pressure put on primary school students to perform in their exit exams for a coveted place in high schools as a travesty. The Prime Minister was responding to journalists at a post-cabinet briefing at his office in St. Andrew on Wednesday.
It is a travesty in my mind that we place so much pressure on our young ones at an early age, where some may naturally exhibit the ability to grasp information quickly and regurgitate it. That is not a measure of intelligence or creativity. And we distribute our best educational spaces in that way to the detriment of the rest of the society. And we have been doing this for ages.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, he says the government's plan to fix the education system will tackle how children are taught from an early age. He says this will involve refocusing the curriculum to cover skills in literacy, numeracy, and technology. So in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, should we switch from the PEP? The primary exit profile examination. Should we switch? First, there was common entrance when some of us weren't, even conceived. And then you have GSAT. Some of us like Boogs. Boogs are common entrance, you do? A common entrance, you do, Boogs? Oh my God. All right, okay. So you have common entrance, GSAT, and then, the PEP came in. So we're asking, should we switch from the PEP in our Public Opinion this evening? If you're just joining us, what are your thoughts? Should we stick with PEP or with a switch? On our X platform, we'll start there, where I stand with law-abiding Jamaica, saying they need to stop moving the goalpost and stressing out the kids. Math, English, and mental ability could suffice, as in bring back common entrance, although I didn't pass mine. Well, with modern technology and tablets, computers, laptops, teaching could be made fun and easier to grasp. At least I agree with that aspect of this comment, to integrate technology more. Rodrigo Cohen is questioning, why would anyone want to replace a system that allows our children to think critically? The fact that other children from our inner city are passing with even high marks tells me that it is working. Stacy is saying, yes, switch, go back to common entrance or something like common entrance. Then I think everybody on X that I just read saying go back. Well, Rodrigo is the only one saying no, let it remain, let PEP remain. But so far, I've heard common entrance being mentioned twice. Yeah. So for those of you who did common entrance, don't know. I think I possibly need to go look it up, right? Or make Boogs tell me what the. Oh wow, Boogs is telling me that in common entrance you have only 2 choices, 2 school choices. My. I don't know if I'd like that any at all. Me kind of alright. Is it 5? I think it's 5 now. 5 or 7 now? 7 now. Wow. Okay. In PEP, it's 7. You get 7 choices. All right. If you're just joining us, we're inside the Court of Public Opinion. We're asking, should we switch from the PEP? This is coming against the backdrop of Prime Minister Holness saying that the primary exit profile, the exams, put a stress or added pressure on primary school students. On our Facebook platform, Christopher Isaac saying, call it by whichever name. The important thing is the content. Too much for me, youngsters to grasp at this stage. Yeah. Katie Ann Blair is saying, dash it away, bring back the common entrance curriculum, bring back reading, a bag of storybooks, and use things like ruler to measure and not no chicken scale and measuring tape like we Pepper do for 7 years old. Oh, wow. Yeah. Nikki Becky says, cut back on some of the exams, 15 in all from grade 4 to 6, a wickedness. Natalie Winter says, too much switching. We may switch ourselves out of options to choose from. Jermaine Blessed Grand says, we have switched too much. It was GSAT before PEP. Once it is a good program, just stick with it. And if needed, find ways to amend and enhance it for the betterment of the children. Zadiki is saying, PEP not focused. I have the solution. George Elliott, PEP promotes critical thinking by students from an early age. Unfortunately, far too many teachers refuse to embrace and promote this form of exam for reasons better known by them. And Winston is asking if we want to switch so quick. Philip Jackson is saying that we need to make up our mind. The Bible said double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let's make a decision on what we want, or get the best formula which will work for our own good. Yeah? Should we or should we not switch from the PEP? On Instagram, Jew is saying, I'm no educator, so I don't know if we should switch, but maybe tweak it a bit to ease the stress on students and parents. All right, let me see if I can get to some of the comments on our YouTube platform. Lam is saying, stop chat foolishness. We won't go back to common entrance. We need the focus on reading, writing, and STEM. Yeah. Sharon Miller is questioning, switch to what? What should we switch to? If it's not PEP, then what? Well, remember before PEP we had GSAT, and before GSAT we had common entrance, you know. So I guess something may be in the works. Sandra Murray is saying that PEP is hard and questioning who are the people who meet and vet these questions. The exams stress out the students. Sharon Miller, switch to what? Let me see. Affectionate Forest Bridge is saying that should have changed long time. Yeah, long time. All right. Christy C is saying no pep, but no pep. Go back to common entrance. Too much for that age. Kids are burnt out by high school. Brick Road is saying our children are over tested. That is our focus. Exams, we should ban pep. Stick to a dedicated curriculum from grade 1 to 6 and focus on literacy. Yeah. Ricardo Bacchus is agreeing with Philip Jackson, who was talking about the double-minded. Him says, see him so. Ricardo Hall is saying, Richardo Hall is saying, switch, no way. Max Romy says, get back. You know. Okay, Max Romy, I see you there. Let me see. Annie Smith says, PEP preparation starts at grade 4. I guess I'm not impressed by it. Marlene P. Children need the foundation at the lower grades. Patrick Rowe believes that a stressed student is a discouraged one. Derek Reed, so if you leave PEP alone. Pauline Taylor revised the curriculum. Simple. Pekka is saying that even some of the teachers cannot cope with PEP. Let me see. Lam is saying that the material is unnecessarily too much. The PM is emphasizing that there are various intelligence. All right. And Pauline Taylor is suggesting that we should have training sessions for teachers like they did before. Yeah. Horace McDonald is telling us to fix early childhood education. And I think the education system, or not, let me say education system, early childhood, it starts from the home. Yeah, it starts from the home. And I know I will get some bashing for this one. But parents, if you don't, like I was thinking this morning, we have a whole we're putting them on, you know. We have a whole we're putting them on and carry them through. We can't leave it up on the schools only. When I go home in the evenings, I ensure to check my daughter's book. Check my book, and before I even go home, I ask her, how was the day at school? You have to check up on the kids, man. You can't leave them and just ensure, leave them on their own. You can't leave them on their own and say, all right, just send them go school and them come home back. You have to take it into your hands and carry them, walk them, guide them. Don't leave it up on the teacher. I think being a parent and being involved in your children's life, education-wise, is so critical, especially at this juncture. We should really look into it. Don't leave it on the teachers. No, leave it on the teachers, them alone. When your child come home, you know, ask them if them have homework, them just put on the book, them just put on the bag, them not do nothing. I don't know, man. I anticipate the preparation that I will make as a parent for PEP, and know that my daughter is going to have me in her corner to say, yeah, we prepare together. We do what is necessary along with the teachers. But you can't have your pitney and just leave up the education for him or she for carry it on by herself. Feel like support is parental support is necessary. I don't know, like I think I'm going to have to read up on PEP, yeah, to bring myself up to speed. But I mean, critical thinking, you have to help your children. It starts in the home. Erica Barnett is saying critical thinking skills must be taught. If you don't have great critical thinking skills, you can teach it. Simple. And I'm seeing in the comments here where people are saying teachers themselves having issues with PEP. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing in the comments. Amanda Street said, I see nothing wrong with PEP. To me, it's even easier because it's not 1 or 2 days of exam like GSAT, where I myself had to cram for PEP. PEP is over a span of months. And honestly, I don't know, man. I think when I was in my GSAT days, yes, I did GSAT. No common entrance. I did GSAT. And in my GSAT days, I remember the pressure. The pressure. I remember the pressure. So if people are saying that PEP is no pressure, I mean, to what end? GSAT was pressure, and I'm sure common entrance, Pitney would have tell you say it was pressure too. So everything up pressure. I don't know, man. I don't know. But if it can be eased, then fine. If there is a way around it to make it less pressuring for our children, then fine. D.S. Isaacs, I'll read this one. Robian, we find all the excuse to leave out the parents in the child's educational upbringing, and it's so important. It is very, very important. And listen, it don't have to be your pitney, you know. It don't have to be your pitney. Prince Charles asked if I saw me young. Oh, wow. All right. Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. Let's see. The business report. Yeah, this is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robian Williams. YouTube is to limit recommendations of certain health and fitness videos to teenagers, including those which idealize certain body types. It says 13 to 17-year-old users will still be able to search for and view fitness-related content, but will not be encouraged into repeated viewing of similar videos. Now, YouTube says it is acting because of concerns that repeated exposure to such material can lead young people to develop negative beliefs about themselves. YouTube's algorithm will usually recommend similar content for users to watch once they have finished a particular video, as well as displaying related videos on a sidebar. The platform says this will no longer be offered for teens when they view certain types of content, including videos that compare physical features and idealizes some types over others, videos idealizing specific fitness levels or body weights, and videos displaying social aggression in the form of non-contact fights and intimidation. Now, YouTube said the measures were being taken after its Youth and Families Advisory Committee found that teens are more likely than adults to form negative beliefs about themselves when seeing repeated messages about ideal standards in content they consume online. In the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 29 cents to buy $1, 207 Jamaican dollars and 57 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 117 Jamaican dollars and 75 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robian Williams. Good evening.
Experience unmatched performance and ultimate control with KYB shocks from Bird's Auto Parts. KYB shocks are perfect for every ride. Choose from a wide range of shocks such as Gas Adjust, Scorch Force, and XLG, which provides superior handling and stability on all terrain. For a smoother, safer, and more reliable drive, choose KYB. Available now at Bird's Auto Parts. Get 15% off your purchase of 2 or more KYB shocks. August 9 to November 8. It hurts if you don't check Birds.
Back to school is easy with JN Money. Send or receive money transfers with JN Money from now until September 30 for a chance to be one of 4 lucky winners of $25,000 each month. Conditions apply.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Pack it on the budget so me reach KFC. New crunchy box meal. That for me a piece of chicken, 2 wings, biscuit, and a drink. Crunchy box of the flavor, so we make the lid. Value for your money, flavor and the taste. KFC, crunchy box run the place. So much variety, the box now no space. KFC, crunchy box run the place.
Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and Pepsi for only $850. KFC, it's finger licking good.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, Nationwide this morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast, right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Good evening, it's 6:42 and time for the Nation's Business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Well, after serving 4 decades in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime, Fitz Bailey, is retiring. He's set to make his exit on September 8. DCP Bailey has been one of the foremost members of the JCF for many years. With his no-nonsense demeanor, his attentiveness to detail, and his passion for justice.
The DCP is leaving behind a legacy of dedication, leadership, and extraordinary service. DCP Bailey's career has been nothing short of remarkable. Speaking recently at a graduation ceremony, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang offered special commendation to the DCP.
Fine example of an outstanding public servant who has served this country with distinction and integrity over the years. He has certainly added new dimension to the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Mr. Bailey's name will stand for a long time in the annals of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. His work in investigating gangs is of course pioneering and will lay the foundation for continued work to dismantle these characters that create havoc across many societies and many parts of our country. We want to commend Mr. Fitz Bailey, congratulate you, and look forward to working with you some more in other areas as your experience, competence, and skill will, of course, continue to be of value to Jamaica and its people.
And that's Dr. Horace Chang, the National Security Minister. DCP Bailey also received the praises from Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake and the National Police College for his long and distinguished service to the JCF. DCP Bailey joins us this evening to look back at his years in the force. Good evening, DCP Bailey.
Good evening to you and your listeners.
Many persons know of you when you took on that crime portfolio, but I want you to take us back. Take us back to when it all started. What year did you start with the JCF, and at what level did you enter?
Okay, after I graduated from Prospect College in 1983, I immediately applied for the JCF, and I joined the JCF in 1984, the 6th of February, 1984. I joined as a constable, went through the training process. I was first transferred to what you call the beat and foot patrol, which was more like a plaza patrol in the street of downtown Kingston, the plazas uptown as far as Red Hills Road, Red Hills Mall, etc. And then having completed about 1 year or so at Beat and Foot Patrol, I moved on to Mobile Reserve, which is, it's now specialized operation. That was more operational type policing. Spent just over 3 years there, involved in operational type policing, patrolling the hills of, I've been to Warwick Hill, Kingston East, those what you call volatile areas. Did some work within that space, some type of operational duties outside of the corporate area as well. Then I transitioned from there to the police fraud squad. That was 1988. I spent 19 years of my service at the fraud squad, and that's a lot of people are not aware. That's my specialist as an investigator. I consider myself as one of the top financial investigators in Jamaica. Some of the most complex cases then I was involved in. At the time when we had the collapse of the financial institution, I engaged in some of those investigations. And then fraud squad was merged into the organized crime OCID. So I took over the head of. As a matter of fact, I went to fraud squad as a constable, and I stayed there until I became the superintendent in charge of fraud squad. I then took over the organized crime investigation division. Then at that time, that division was at a very low. There was a controversial matter where some persons were, it is alleged, they were taken from somewhere in Duane Park. I think it was 3 persons and nobody saw them after that, and they were taken, alleged, by police officers. And those police officers were said to be from the organized crime division then. So when I was sent to OCID, one of the mission was to rebrand the unit. It was at the lowest, whereby, even officers tend to stay away, never wanted to be associated with that division. So I went there and I actually rebranded that unit. The unit became one of the, if you want to call it, the elite units within the JCF. I remember then Commissioner Ellington, when he had a meeting with me, I told him that I wanted OC to be the FBI of the JCF. And during my period there, the Consular Financial Unit was established at FID. We had the Cybercrime Unit was established, which is now CFCD. The Communication Unit was established. The Trafficking Person Unit, that was revamped and restructured. The copyright, the I think it's the copyright unit, that was also. So a number of things took place, and we got the entire division was polygraphed. I took lead by doing my own polygraph. and then every member had to be polygraphed to remain there. After that exercise, some people were asked to be relocated because they were not fit for the division. And that division is what you call now the Organized Crime Investigation Branch, which is a Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch. That is CTOC. Its name was changed. And so I spent from 2006 to 2012 at CTOC. Then I moved on to St. Andrews Central Division, and that was the first time I actually worked in what you call a geographic division, because all my experience was with the non-geographic division as a divisional commander for St. Andrews Central. And the record is there, people can check. It's one of the best years in terms of crime stats in St. Andrews Central. For example, in 1 year, there was a reduction in robberies, 52%, and then the following year there was also a reduction. Murder came down from, when I took over at the end of 2012, we had 79 murder that year. The following year we had 78, and then in 2014 we had just 30, I think it was 39, 37 or 39, I don't remember the exact amount. So there was a significant reduction in the violent crime, or the category 1 crime. And that was as a result of what I call partnership with a number of stakeholders, the church, a number of NGO government entities, and the citizens in a number of communities. And then I transitioned in 2015 from St. Andrews Central, spent about maybe 3 months at Era 4 headquarters, and then I was called by the then Commissioner, Carl Williams, and I was told to take over the command of Clarendon. When he briefed me, and the only mandate he gave me was to go there and motivate the staff, because the staff had reached a stage where they were demotivated, and the then commander did not have what it takes to motivate them. So I went there and spent just over a year, and I got promoted to ACP, went to Era 2 for 9 months. Then I came back to CTOC, where I took command, and then one of the focus whilst I was there was on the gangs. And so we had the first major gang cases, one of the first gang cases, and that was the Euchens Wilson gang case. And then we started to focus on the gang in a very structured and strategic way, where we look at them as a group. And I think the record is there in terms of we have had some pitfalls, if I may use that, during the process, because some new legislation that we are trying to understand. And I think we are progressing well in terms of dealing with the gangs as an organization. And I think we have made significant inroad, and the template is there for the men and women. And I want to commend the dedication of the men and women that we have in the JCF, who have applied themselves so diligently, and even the result that we are seeing now in terms of the murder reduction. I mean, the stage was set. When you start to impact the gangs, the end result definitely will be reduction in crime. And then from there, I took over in 2018 the crime portfolio.
And DCP Bailey, let's go back though to the beginning. What was the motivation to join the JCF? And at the time when you joined the constabulary force, did you see yourself rising to essentially the second highest position in the organization?
Well, put it this way: when I decided to join the work, I always relate this story. I saw what I consider to be police excesses. There was a young man from a neighboring community when I was a little boy, and I thought then that the police was very excessive in terms of how they treated with a situation. The young man, I think his rights was really trampled on. He was properly abused, beaten, let me use that term. And I said to myself, I'm going to join the force and I'm going to try to see how I can minimize that level of abuse. And so that was one of my motivations. I had a passion really for policing as well. When I was much younger, I love accounts. I wanted to be an accountant. And when I went to school, the Prospect College, and I was exposed to sort of cadet type training. Prospect College is a very small institution in St. Mary. I think it's just a unique and outstanding institution, which I think should be replicated in other parishes, but that's another story. So after I left Prospect, because of that exposure to what I call semi-military type training, I immediately joined. So that actually propelled me even more to join the JCF.
So it was your intention from day one to try and effect some change in what you consider to be the excesses of the force? Excesses and the abuse. At those times, police abuse was really rampant. And I'm giving thanks to God that I joined. And in terms of abusing, I am very, 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 very keen on respecting the humanity and the dignity of the citizen. I believe we can do our job effectively and efficiently, and that's what I communicate to my team. We can do it effectively and efficiently without abusing the rights of people. And that's one of the things that I preach.
What would you say, DCP, is your greatest achievement? I know you would have done a lot, being in the force, as you say, from 1984, 83, you had said. What would be your greatest achievement to date?
It's very difficult to say, but one of the things that I find fulfillment in is when I bring closure to a case, when the team that I work with and a person has been victimized, and when I see the family, and when you look at the expression on their faces, and you can bring closure to their case, I think that is the most fulfilling moment for me. I think also the fact that I can influence my juniors in a positive way, influence them to be the best version of themselves. I think those, achievements in terms of what I have achieved being a deputy commissioner, that's good. But to me, that is, as I always say to the guys, sometimes it's not even because you have greater qualification, or sometimes you're at the right place at the right time and the offering is made and you succeed. But it's not because you're better off than anybody else. So I think how the fulfilling moments in my life is when I can see some of my subordinates and people who I've worked with fulfilling their obligation and improving on their skills and can be of greater service to the nation. I think those are, it's not about, because I never, as a matter of fact, when I joined JCF, I not even knew what the salary was. I never came in the organization. Well, you want to work, you want a job, but that was not my motivation. And during my tenure, I am not really motivated by money. Is to see a victim, and when you solve the crime and they feel satisfied, addressing the most vulnerable people in the society, and you can support them and you can assist them when you can address the gullible, those who are gullible, and you can intervene and show them another path. Those to me are some of the defining moments in my life. I can tell you some instances when just having conversation with some of the victims of crime, and when they express their satisfaction, and when they can say that the team did a job that we are proud of. Those are the things that really motivate and drive me. Getting promotion is good for self-actualization and satisfaction. When I joined, I wanted to just be a good servant of the public. I just wanted to serve the people with the highest level of professionalism. One of our oaths of office is about faithfulness, loyalty, truthfulness, integrity. And I think once I fulfill those requirements, that brings a sense of satisfaction. And I leave with on the 8th, and I leave with a very clean and clear conscience that I never use this organization for self-gratification or aggrandizement. I use it to serve the nation, to serve the people. I believe in the ability of Jamaica. I believe that within Jamaica, we have great capacity, and and maybe I have too much faith in the people of Jamaica. I think what I believe is, how do we galvanize the talents? How do we bring everybody together for them to understand? When I normally look at our national anthem, our motto, those are things that is always at the forefront of what I do. That Jamaica may under God increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity. And how do I use my ability and my skills? Because life is about servanthood, fulfillment. The Bible, I'm a Christian, the Bible talks about it's more blessed to give than to receive. And the importance of servanthood, love your neighbor as yourself, and two basic principles on which we exist, loving God and loving your neighbor. And I think if you can fulfill those two commandments and requirements, it brings a sense of satisfaction. I mean, my wife said to me when I was a younger police officer, "Are you the only police in the force?" I go to church on Sunday. I get up in the morning, Sunday morning very early. I go on operation, trying to ensure that our citizens are safe, and then I get back home, get ready, and go to church. Not many people do that, but it's just a commitment to service. Jamaica can be a better place, and I am convinced that we can make Jamaica better, and that's my ultimate goal when I join, to make Jamaica a better place.
And on that note, 40 years in the force, and as you said, you joined in at a time when you, as you say, saw the excesses in the police force and its treatment of the citizens of Jamaica. Now leaving it 40 years on in a few days, are you satisfied with where the JCF is now today?
I think we have come a far way. There have been significant improvement. When I joined, almost every day, you will see placard-bearing citizens demonstrating about abuses by the police. We want justice. Almost every activity of the police was faced with some form of opposition. I think I've seen the force transition over the years into what I call a very modern police force that respects the rights of citizens. I mean, we have some work to be done, but when you compare what was and what is now, we are far advanced. And I think the men and women within the JCF, they have gotten the message that citizens' rights is important, and that if we are going to execute our duty, we must respect the rights of the citizen as well as the human dignity of each citizen. So I've seen significant improvement.
And DCP Bailey, you're still young. So what's next for you?
For me, I will take a break. I'm retiring. And so I'll take a break, spend some time with my family, do a little traveling as well, and I will engage in some farming. which I never got a chance to do as I would want to. And I will do some more work within my church as well. And then I'll see what happens thereafter. I've been getting a lot of offers, not only locally but internationally. Well, I'll see what happens after. But I must say that it has been a pleasure. I am humbled by the fact that I have gotten the chance as a citizen to serve in this capacity, as a police officer, to serve the nation, to serve the people. And I have no regrets in serving, and if I were to relive my life, I would do it again. This is one of the most noble organizations that one can serve.
And finally from me, DCP, did you ever apply for the top job, the top post at the JCF? Do you regret not making it to that position, and what do you make of the current holder of that office?
What I will say is that there's a process that is normally, whenever the job comes up, there's a process that is applied, and yes, I have applied, and about 3 times. And I was interviewed but was not successful. However, Dr. Blake, very, very brilliant person, very knowledgeable, and I believe that the force is in good hand. It's just how do you galvanize the support, and the public also need to support him. I know sometimes, especially when we come from within, commissions from within tend to get a harder type of grading than persons who join from without. But we hope that he will be given the space to really manage, and he gets the level of support that is required because it's a very challenging job. When you look at the level of violence that we have in this country, it doesn't take much for us to get up one day and we see several persons being killed. So I'm just asking the public to just give him some space, give him some time. Sometimes we don't give a person a little learning curve. We just want to see results immediately. And I think we are getting some good results because it started from the beginning of the year, and he has been really pushing very hard. And I have confidence that the force is in a better place, and we will see the level of progress as time goes on.
That is Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the crime portfolio, Bailey, retiring on September 8th after 40 years of service.
May I just make one more comment?
Go ahead.
I just want to say thanks to everyone who supported me during the period. I also want to say thanks to the media, including nationwide. I see media as one of our major stakeholders in our quest to protect this nation. You play a critical role, and over the years, I have always maintained a good relationship with media personnel. That is so important. Truthfulness and be frank. One of the things that I always say to my colleagues, you must trust. The relationship with the media is very important. And whilst I have some training overseas, and I was told, when you're dealing with the media, but that level of confidence and trust is very important. I really thank the media. And if I may say about Nationwide, I remember when I was at the fraud squad, and there was a function put on by the Cooperative Credit Union, and I was asked to speak for about 10 minutes. It was covered by Nationwide. And I think that presentation and that coverage, that was many, many years ago, actually caused the public to, should I say it was a defining moment for me? And that defining moment was because of your station bringing and broadcasting that conference that I spoke on. I spoke on identity theft. And it was then that the public understood then the problem of identity theft and the impact that it was having on Jamaica. And if one were to say that was when people became aware of who Bailey was. And so I want to give some credit to Nationwide for that.
DCP Bailey, we thank you for your service. Definitely one of the most impactful law enforcement officers the country has seen over the last several years. I'm not say few, several years. Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you very much.
And by the way, DCP, happy birthday. I gather it's September 8th, the day before you leave. Yeah, you're
yes.
September man like myself. Happy birthday when it comes.
12 o'clock on the 7th.
Yes.
My authority as a police ends.
Okay, and you're ringing the birthday on the 8th.
Yes. All right, thank you very much, sir.
Have a good evening, Sir Bailey.
Okay, bye.
More after this break.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Me, busy as usual, so I don't have no time for whole heap of paperwork. That's why I downloaded and signed up for my One JN Passport app. It's a whole new level of convenience and access to services within the JN Financial Group. Just a few taps on my smartphone and box. I can update my personal information, open a JN Bank savings account, and even apply for an unsecured loan. Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The One JN Passport app. JN will help you find a way.
Drive Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
It's 7:11 and we now turn over to an update on Rebuild Jamaica. As many of you remember, Hurricane Beryl has caused extensive damage across the country, resulting in massive dislocation to families and communities, especially in the southern parishes. And as chair of the Humanitarian Assistance Committee, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security has been coordinating relief efforts.
And the initiative called Rebuild Jamaica is aimed at advancing the resilient restoration of communities through the government of Jamaica and partners. The initiative was launched by Prime Minister Andrew Holness on August 5. To this end, the series Rebuild Jamaica presentation events have been scheduled across the parishes from August 27 to September 6.
The presentations also see beneficiaries of the initiative receiving several cash grants. And to give us an update, we are going to be joined by the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Colonel Charles Jr. Good evening, Sir Charles.
Evening, gentlemen, and evening to all of your listeners.
It's good to hear from you, Sir Charles. I understand you were out in St. Mary today as part of the Rebuild Jamaica initiative.
Well,
that's tomorrow.
We go to St. Mary tomorrow morning.
Oh, tomorrow. My apologies.
We were in St. James this morning.
St. James.
Doing the St. James and Hanover group. And then we trekked over to St. Anne for 2 o'clock, where we finished off with the St. Anne and the Trelawney batch. So it's been I'd say a hectic but a productive week. That's only today. Yesterday, we were in Portland. We had to make our way through all of the rain. And the day before, we were in St. Thomas. And that's just for this week.
So can you give me just an update so far? What has been the quantum of disbursements and how many people have benefited from those cash grants thus far?
So we've moved from 8,700 to more than 13,500 assessments, going towards 14,000. And at each of these ceremonies, we have present between 100 to 150 beneficiaries, all of who receive checks on the day that they come to their ceremony. Now, simultaneously, as we're doing these ceremonies, which we have started from August 5th, we have been setting up in some communities and in providing checks to persons who are not a part of the ceremonial process or the event. So overall, instance, in St. Elizabeth, which is the parish that is hardest hit in terms of numbers, more than 50% of those who have been assessed have been provided with checks. In Westmoreland, more than 60%. And that's the pattern going through. So our goal is to see that we can process, validate, verify, and get checks distributed. Now, what has been causing some obstruction is that the checks cannot be printed unless we have the TRN validated. And so what we found is that in some respects, whether it is, for instance, a name like Sasha, where it is spelled S-A-S-H-A, and the TRN has it as S-H-C-H-A. Things like that. Little mistakes in the names or the TRN number have caused us some delay in terms of validation of the TRN. And so there are a number of persons who will be saying, well, listen, you came to my house, you assessed me, but not check, no print. What happened? Well, in large part, we have to re-verify a number of persons. So besides those issues, we have been moving swiftly. We have crunched what would usually take us maybe 6 to 8 months in 6 to under 6 weeks. And the team has been really working hard to make sure that we have our checks ready to distribute and that we are getting these in the hands of the persons who need it the most, in addition to saying to them that not only is the government providing checks through Rebuild Jamaica, but we're working with our partners. And for a select group of persons who are among the more vulnerable of those who have been assessed, the World Food Program is also coming in to provide an additional cash grant on top of what we are doing. And those persons will receive a text message in 2 weeks advising them how they can access it and what the amount is. And on top of all of that, as you know, we are working with other stakeholders like the Global Empowerment Mission, like Food for the Poor, and others, to not just provide cash grants or checks, but to provide support in terms of the actual execution of the repair of roofs and the rebuilding of homes. So it's a comprehensive initiative that we have to really drive resilient restoration of our communities in Jamaica.
And Minister, what has been the response thus far from those within the communities who have received this assistance?
Gratitude, determination. People who are just thankful that the government is even in a position to be able to do this. We weren't in this position before. We see persons who indicate that they need a little bit more support, but they're willing to come to us, explain, and they're patient. And in large part, I think that the Rebuild Jamaica initiative has been a significant success in driving what our Prime Minister has mandated, which is making sure that we're not just building back, but we're putting persons in a better position. So they're very grateful that we're helping them in terms of not just the money, but hurricane straps and the support to understand how to do it, and the support in terms of some of the more vulnerable getting actual groups to help to do the building. It has been, I'd say, a very challenging 2 weeks, going from St. Catherine, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, and then all that we did this week. But it has been a worthwhile 2 weeks, seeing the faces of those who we know have been impacted the most, and just them understanding that they are cared for and valued, I think has been, to me, the most instrumental thing in all of this.
Minister, two things. First, do you have a sum, as in an actual dollar figure, as to how much has been disbursed so far? And then secondary to that, do you have other initiatives planned on top of Rebuild Jamaica to assist Jamaicans beyond what has been done thus far in terms of the hurricane burial relief?
So it's easy for me to give you in percentages, because every single day since we started, we've been distributing checks. So, as I said to you, for most parishes, we have distributed more than half of the checks. So it would mean that we're moving towards that amount in terms of the dollar figure, based on the $1 billion being the total of what is there to be allocated.
So just over half a billion then?
Just over half of that has been printed, and most has been distributed. But again, we're constantly moving, constantly distributing. So it's difficult to tie down any specific figure for you unless I get that from the team. And I'll get an updated figure for you tomorrow.
Very well.
In terms of the additional programs, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security does this daily. So this activity that we are involved in now of providing support in terms of welfare for the most vulnerable is what we do. And so we have a raft of programs outside of Rebuild Jamaica, such as our rehabilitation grants, such as our tertiary school grants for past students, many of whom have been impacted by the hurricane, such as our topping up of the PATH program for August for all beneficiaries that are going back to school, such as our programs that support persons who have had impact to their homes. These are things that we do consistently and constantly. And we haven't cut those programs off because of Rebuild Jamaica. So as we focus on Rebuild Jamaica, we still do have persons that are interacting with us and who are getting support through our normal programs that provide that social security net for Jamaicans who need the support.
And as you move forward, the next steps, because there is an ever-present need for help within the country. Do you have plans to advance the Rebuild Jamaica so that it becomes a permanent initiative?
So the initial construct of Rebuild Jamaica was for it to serve as that mechanism that will be able to provide a conduit for support whenever we have these kinds of situations. It is evolving, right? And it continues to evolve because we learn, we listen, and we are also directed by the mandate that has been set down by our Prime Minister. And one of the things that he has said is, listen, we don't want to simply give people a check and they end up back in the same position. So one of the things that we may have to focus on in the Rebuild Jamaica phase 2 is really looking on across government the design of our environments, the design of our communities, and ensuring that where, for instance, you have persons at or below sea level, those houses are elevated or moved. And where you have persons who have zinc, that we have the necessary monitoring and support to ensure that the hurricane straps are on and put on properly. And other things of that nature, just to ensure that as we talk about resilient restoration, that we are giving the tools and the support for that to be effective. And that's really what the Rebuilding of Jamaica process has entailed and what it has evolved to be, really, since we started on August 5th.
And Minister, I know the answer, but sometimes I think it begs repeating. Outside of what we have acquired through potential aid and grants from other well-to-do nations, this initiative has been funded solely through GOJ money and GOJ mitigation funds, correct?
For the first time ever. And I painstakingly repeat it every time I get an opportunity at every ceremony that Jamaica, this Jamaica that we are living in now, must never take for granted that we are in a position to provide more than $8 billion for recovery and relief in a hurricane. It's not just the $1 billion to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. That must be seen within the context of an additional set to the Ministry of Education, an additional set to the Ministry of Health and Wellness, an additional set to the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, and all of that coming from the government of Jamaica. Never before have we seen that level of precision and planning and management that has afforded us this opportunity to help our people restore. And I take the time so that people understand and acknowledge what we are doing and how we have come to be able to do so. We welcome the support, and so we're getting support from the World Food Program. We're getting support from the Global empowerment mission. We're getting support from the NGOs, but that is additional support. The main stream of support is coming to Jamaica, from Jamaica, by Jamaica, because of the good decisions and the solid management of the government.
And Minister, for someone who is listening now and would like to apply to get assistance through this program, is it too late? And if it's not too late, how can they go about doing so?
So let me be clear. Not really an application. Our social workers have gone around and they've done their own assessment of the environment. However, we do acknowledge that you may have one or two that have been missed, or one or two that when we went to the home, because of the distance and perhaps the absence of occupants, we couldn't get in there. For those persons, we have said to them, reach out to your parish office. And in large part, most have already done so. I doubt that we will find persons now who really had any damage coming to us to say, listen, we need help. Most persons have already reached out to us, whether through their parish office, through their members of parliament, through their councillors, or simply finding me on social media. You'll be amazed the amount of persons who have reached out, and we have passed their information on, and they've been assessed. But if there happens to be any one or two genuine cases, I would tell you, go to your parish office as quickly as you can, because the amount of funds are limited, it's finite, and if you do really want to be accounted for, you will need to be assessed, and that must be done at least by the end of next week.
Wonderful. Thank you as always, Minister. Please keep us updated as it relates to the program. Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr.
Thank you very much. All the best.
All the best.
Well, listeners, it's now your time. You can come chat with us. The numbers are 630-9371-4 and 618-8255.
If you are 40 and over, CCRP offers a world of benefits. Access to valuable health plans from Sagicor, discounted home and auto insurance from J&GI, and discounts from over 100 retailers and service providers. Enjoy wonderful tours, social events, and much more. Visit our website, ccrponline.org for details. CCRP, life to the fullest.
Here's to the early risers, and we are here all-nighters. The go the extra milers, and let's do it until it works. Workers. People who are powerful because they power through. Day after day. Challenge after challenge. You see, true power, it's not something you can buy or collect. It is something that starts on the inside, and you always know it when you see it. Sunshine Snack Peanuts. Proud supporters of the powerful.
It's back to school time again, and KB is making things easy. Shop online, in-store, or via WhatsApp at 876-788-1405 for a chance to win $150,000 cash, a laptop or a tablet. And it doesn't end there. KB is making everything easy. Pick up in-store or shop online today. Promotion runs from July 15 to September 7, 2024. Easy, that's the KB difference.
Discover something new. Discover the KB difference.
Authorized under Section 50 and 3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lodges Act.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads Podcast. It's a revolution in media.
It's 7:29, and as I said, we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. I see in the chat Clark Loban asking where is Mr. Ricardo Brooks. He is on vacation, and he will return next week. Carl, you're on the line. Oh, sorry, Cleveland, you're on the line.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
How you do, Cleveland?
Sanjay, how you do?
I'm good. How are you?
All right.
Cleveland, as I hear your name, Dana gave me the message yesterday. You know, the message. Dana gave me the message yesterday, and I eat the message. My apologies.
Well, all right. It was just contact with me.
So what's on your mind, Cleveland?
You know, as I listen to Mr. Charles, I realize, you know, poor Mr. Holness have some of these elder statements still there in the house, like a rope around them neck. And they couldn't do this work when Mr. Charles are doing, you know. Mr. Charles is from one parish to the other daily, trying to rebuild back Jamaica. That's what they call it, no?
Yes, that's the name of the initiative.
Yes. And Mr. Holness really needs some young, strong people. Suppose he never have this set of young people. What would be happening? Everything would have leave on him.
But be fair, Cleveland, a lot of the more veteran politicians have a little energy about them and are probably far more used to the traveling up and down the breadth and width of Jamaica than the youngsters too.
Things and time change, Shaman. So they up and down now at this time. They want young people to do that type of up and down.
Well, both parties need the influx of the youngsters.
Right, man. I definitely agree with you on that, Cleveland. We thank them for their services, and they can always be there in an advisory capacity.
Yes, man.
We need fresh blood in the system.
You know, because I'm sure it looks like that's what Mr. Charles, Father Charles, doing to his son, and him seems to on top of things, listening to him.
But if you're going to be reasonable in Cleveland, you have to admit that you have quite a few dinosaurs in your camp as well, you know.
No, my camp me I talk about.
Oh!
My camp me I talk about. My camp me I talk about, man.
It's on both sides, though, Cleveland, and I agree with you. Both
we
sides
have them
really
more.
Need,
we have them
need
more.
Them.
Them need to understand what is going on and say, boy, let me take with myself and make the Prime Minister get some young, strong people now.
You know, Cleveland, there's something that I cannot understand, and maybe one day I need to sit with one of those elder politicians. What is it about the politics that they can't let go?
Yeah.
It's like they want to stay forever, and I'm trying to understand what is it. Because doing politics is not easy. It's draining. So why would you want to stay and not, after a while, put up your boots and thank them and say goodbye?
Let me tell you something. Some people afraid to go mad yard, you know, when they reach those days, you know.
Well, that's true.
And feel them why die faster. So they use this place to keep them alive.
I can answer this question in some instances, and I won't name any politicians or anyone, but having done my research during that whole matter of the politicians getting that salary increase, we can agree that despite as many Jamaicans thinking this, you know, politics is not a wealth generating scheme. And many politicians who rightfully may want to head home may not find it economically viable. Let me put it that way.
Except now, Siobhan, with the change in the salary now, it should be a little better, we hope, especially with the retirement.
And as I said, I understand that one of the impetus to make those salary adjustments and the value and timing of those was to allow some of these more veteran individuals to leave with a semblance of a decent retirement.
Yes. Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. I work with government for near up to 40 years. And unfortunately, I work under a lot of wage freeze. So therefore, my little pension can't go nowhere. Can't keep me at all. Can't pay my bills. You see? So we are the one need to complain. Them whether them could have feel a little happier going home. You see? I was listening to Andre. What's his name again?
Horton.
Mm-hmm. I remember growing up as a young youth. We used to make from a nail to a pin or a nail to a anchor in this country. We have everything making here. I know if you go to St. Thomas Road, they say a lot of the frame of the factories them that were there. We used to make stove here. Serve well.
Yeah, and we didn't nurture
some of these things as if they weren't here. They were here.
Yeah, and we didn't nurture many of these fledgling industries that now have kind of gone to the wayside.
What you said?
I said we didn't properly nurture many of these fledgling industries that have kind of gone to the wayside.
Yes.
But I think one of the challenges too is the cost of production. The electricity cost in and of itself is one of the biggest costs that manufacturers have and anyone that is operating a business. And it's a major deterrent to want to do anything because the electricity cost is so high.
Yeah. So it must have gone as if those things wasn't happening here anyhow. And some of it is, as I said, high cost. And some of politics getting at it. And them threaten some people and people take them plane and go away. And all sorts of things. We just had bad politics and bad running of this country. We'd be far better off today. Anyhow.
All right, thank you,
Cleveland. As always, Cleveland.
I see Brick Road saying that Chevron politicians have never depended on their salary and none of them broke. Well, Brick Road, I can say that I know differently, and I have heard stories from both sides of the political aisle about politicians who are in past and present who have ended up in dire straits and after leaving Gordon House has to depend on the goodwill of those still present in Gordon House to survive. I'll leave it at that.
You're definitely correct with that one, Siobhan. I know of the stories. I've heard of it. And I think a couple of years ago, I think it was a Gleaner that did a story on the very topic of politicians and after they retire. And if some of them, they don't have a career outside of politics, they're in trouble. Yeah.
And much of that is to the fault of the Jamaican people. I mean, we call them corrupt and we attack them to the point that it's just the discussion of them getting a salary increase, a much needed salary increase after years upon years without one, has become a painful discussion to have.
It is really sad, and I've said before that I am of the belief from a very long time that we must pay our politicians well. Some of these individuals that we see, they can take up jobs in the private sector or in other industries. Look at even Dr. Clark. The talent that we have in some of these politicians, they could go to the private sector and earn way more. So we really need to at least give them a decent salary. So at least after retirement, they're not in trouble or trying to, seek help from other sources, etc. So I am happy that they received the raise. Now that they have received that increase, we need to put more fire at our politicians to demand more from them because they are being properly compensated now.
Precisely. Well, anyway, Carl, I'm cutting into your time. Evening, how you doing?
Evening.
Carl,
I heard
now, right?
Hold on. Why you? I just say you want me to start this evening then?
Well, I mean, you said yesterday, and Siobhan did promise that we would find out.
The information is now there. Your time, then. Okay, you denounce something where you say you never have.
So you're back on that one, Carl.
Hold on. Okay, you denounce something where you say you never have. Him always show we a Jamaican passport. Say that him have. Until the Gleaner Company pen him up the Sunday evening. If you tell me, say, Julian Robinson and Matthew Samuda did say, yes, them is a dual citizen, then them did say it. But him always lied to us that him did not have it. So you can't denounce something where you say you never have. So you want me clear that first with you then.
All right, Carl. We hear you.
Hold on now. I heard this he call himself an intelligent guy, Mr. Harton. This evening, Mr. Harton said, call 2 something name. So we used to build tire and stove here.
Yes.
Right down below Huntsville Police Station, the whole of that strip used to factories and all kind of things. What Mr. Hart need to tell in 70 odd students them that him is a PMP, but see him party wreck all of that industry. And I hope Mr. Hart, when he goes tomorrow, he will be an honest man and tell him, although I am a PMP, the problem that we are having in Jamaica today comes from the government that me support. I know if he will be honest, so. Because we must be honest now. We must be honest.
I agree with you, Carl. I did put the question to Dr. Andre Horton that many of these industries failed back then. Why did we not have the foresight to put in as many of these initiatives as he's suggesting now?
Because foolish policy, very foolish policy under Mr. Arton government. And I hate to hear Mr. Arton talk about low-paying job. See, him administration was there for 18 and a half years. Where is the dear one that Mr. Arton government provide? It was running up to 17 and a half unemployment in Jamaica under Mr. Arton government. Deny that, Mr. Arton. Those are things you must lecture your kids at university where you're teaching them that you are supporting a government which is a destruction to Jamaica. And turn now to Light B. Smith. Light B. Smith, let me tell you something. You before you did jump ship and go PMP, you used to write in your newspaper before you jump ship when time the problem did go on with the gang of 5 and all kind of things. That you totally agree that a white man shouldn't lead our country. Like B. Smith. I'm going to try to find that paper like B. Smith. That you cannot deny. But no, you want to sit around a table like B. Smith with a white British citizen. Get some shame in yourself.
Former British citizen, God.
Get some shame in yourself. And all Dayton Campbell, they want to sit down on a table with a white man where in forefather used to walk way up in a cane field. You know,
Carl, no, Carl. I have to stop you there because there is no evidence to even suggest that. So, Carl, you're crossing a line there. So, and can you please stop referencing the man's race? I don't understand why you are so captivated by that, Carl.
And Carl, Mr. Golden was born in Jamaica.
Because you know why? You know why? I cannot let it, and it has to be a part of the campaign.
Why, Carl?
I'm going to
Carl,
explain it
Carl,
to you.
Mr. Golden was born in Jamaica, correct?
Hold on. Let me tell you something.
No, man, answer that question. Was he born in Jamaica?
Yes, somebody saying he was born in Jamaica, so not you.
Siaga wasn't born in Jamaica.
Carl.
Siaga didn't born in Nigeria, but he did born.
He was Lebanese.
Right, but in give him citizenship and no newspaper never have to pay him up, not you. And he didn't lie to the country and give up to him, not you.
Carl, let me ask you a question.
Hold me asking you a question.
Yeah, but Carl, you ask you a question that you know the answer to already. Mr. Siaga did give up his Lebanese citizenship, yes.
And I remember in the 90s, you couldn't go nowhere.
I remember, well, I can't say I remember, I wasn't born there, but I know, I heard the story.
Right, but Mr. Siaga was born actually in Boston, Massachusetts, and he gave up his U.S. citizenship and he became a Jamaican. Right. Similarly, Mr. Golden was born in Jamaica. He had, and I'm saying had because he has renounced it, UK citizenship and Jamaican citizenship, he has since given it up. But he's still a Jamaican, Carl.
Well, you know what, me not like to see the way Mr. Golding is life. I would prefer to see that documents hold up that we can see some number at the end. When you hold it up, it comes on the right hand side of the document. Because I know somebody who give up to them.
All right, Carl.
When you find a person will lie about
Carl.
simple matters, you cannot trust them to say them even give it. I would like to see him put it in a newspaper or he hold it up at one conference and say, this is it. This is the last 4 or 5
and
numbers.
then and at that point, will you be satisfied and leave this matter
Well,
alone?
if we can't see it. If we can't see it. But that will have to be a part of our election campaign going. The white and the black.
Carl?
That was a part of the campaign in all of the 90s.
Carl?
Yes, please.
I am fine with you making political meat out of the fact that Mr. Golding is a former British citizen. Par for the course.
Right.
But I will not allow you to continually attack the man about his race. I categorically will not allow you to do that. Because if you recall, I remember when this matter, it was Lothan Cousins who brought up this matter about nobody who is a black man would vote for the JLP, and I rightfully excoriated him for it, and I will not allow you to now do the same thing to Mr. Golding. This is not a country where we are so fixated on nonsense such as someone's skin color.
So how it did happen to Mr. Thiago, everybody did all right?
It never right then, Carl, it not right now. And you know that, Carl.
Not because it wasn't right then means it's the same thing, Carl. No.
And our blood, and when I ended up back at Mr. Thiago, which me was a part of the Jamaica Labour Party, and still very proud that me have a black man who born at Spanish Town. A Jamaican citizen who born at Spanish Town. I'm satisfied with him. If we ain't think out of the box, I am satisfied.
Carl, we'll come again.
And also, Carl, regardless of what happened in the past, it doesn't make it right now.
We must let it go.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But not because they would have done Mr. Siaga wrong in the past means that you are going to now do it to Mr. Golding. And similarly, I cannot recall Mr. Golding ever denying that he's not a British citizen. He dodged the question, maybe, but I can't recall a time that he said to the media or anyone that he is not a British citizen. And if you have the article or a video clip, please send it to us. But as far as I know, we don't have that.
I did not say him say that. I said
you said he lied.
All the question that was asked to him, he always hold up the Jamaica passport and said this me have.
But that doesn't mean that he's lying, Carl. Not because he hold up a Jamaican passport means that he's denying that he's a British citizen.
All right, Carl. I have allowed you to speak your piece, man. Have a good evening. We'll and come again. Peter, you're on the line.
Yes, good night.
Good evening, sir.
You know, the thing, sometimes when people get emotional, they lose focus. Carl, just take advice. What you're doing on the radio is only turning off people. It is not doing anything for your party of choice.
Agreed.
I would like you to take that advice because nobody is bigger than getting advice. What you're doing is not adding anything to your party. And this is from an independent person who has never voted. So I don't have any axe to grind. Hello?
Yes,
yeah, man, that's sound advice, yes.
Yeah, you know, the thing I think most wealthy thinking Jamaican people should be on their lips and the talking point. And Carl, you see, in anything, to be strategic, you have to know when to speak and what time to put certain things. So what I'm trying making reference to, is this just mere coincidence? Our person being, you have a reinventing of a Nostradamus. You remember the conversation you had yesterday with the General Secretary of the PMP?
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me, is he a shoot say or what? Not even 24 hours after that interview, we're saying that there are some things supposed to come in.
What we can
out.
say is Dr. Dayton Campbell is well informed.
Yes.
I found it very curious.
You don't find that
caller.
very curious?
Yes. And I will admit that I said it to someone today after I saw that the release from the Integrity Commission. Because remember yesterday, I challenged Dr. Campbell on that very point that he made, right? Exactly. So I find it very curious that today the Integrity Commission released that the letter. Yeah.
What you said.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I am sure Dr. Campbell is no soothsayer. He is no Nostradamus. He is very well informed.
And I'm saying to you,
yes,
this is what should be on the topic of most Jamaican people, because I just find these things curious. And what I'm saying to the Jamaican populace, if we believe in our democracy, and if we truly want to maintain our democracy, I don't think our next election should be decided by two things: propaganda and the Integrity Commission. And I am telling you that today the Jamaica Labour Party putting out Mr. Morgan and having a communication task force. They can put up any amount of communication task force, any amount of eloquent speakers. It won't combat a negative report coming out from the Integrity Commission. As what you find, what Mr. Trump is saying in America, that the Democrats are weaponizing the departments of government against him. That is what they are using the Integrity Commissioners. There are you see, some people in Jamaica, they hide from the truth. You have some people in government and certain departments. People know where their political leanings are. But the Jamaica Labour Party continue to play naive. Put some people in strategic positions. Now, I am going to say to you, I was a member of the government. And if I was in government today and get a wage increase as what they got 2 years ago, I would be so happy. Now, transpose yourself to being at a time where you got only wage freezes. Mm-hmm. And you didn't make a sound. And now you're getting, some people got as much as 200. They're only making reference to the politician because I have friends in government. Some people in government got more than 200% than what the politicians got.
Yes, there were quite a few groups that received a larger increase in the... Well, let's put it another way. They received a larger percentage increase than the politicians received.
And tell me now, you would be up in arms with somebody who give you an increase that you have never gotten in your life before. But you're silent with somebody who gave you in government nothing.
Mm.
So it's like you have a wife, and she tell you every day so she love you. She just tell you, but nothing of her
she not show it.
support. She and every day she tell you that she love you. You look on her and say, but you can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
But caller, I will say this though, realize at the time when this matter of the increase in salaries for politicians was raised, you did not hear a unified quorum on one side of the political aisle saying, no, we disagree with this. You heard very specific voices disagreeing with the matter. And I will say this, I spoke with many politicians on both sides of the aisle. Most of them that I spoke to were quite fine with the increase.
Yes, but there's a fear. There's a fear that
Yes.
if one decides that they should come out and speak on it, people will look at them to say, why are you asking for more? And also the politics of it, Siobhan.
Yes,
Because the PNP, even if the members of the PNP, they're in support of it, they are not going to come out because of political lines.
It would look politically. It would look politically terrible.
Of course.
So most people, what they're doing, it's just some people are parading. Because let me tell you something. You have some people in Jamaica, and what I would call co-conspirators, in terms of whatever you see. They only come out. It is like you have some radio stations and some TV stations. I can tell you. You see those glowing reports to the government that the IMF put out? They don't hear none of them. You see, if that report was saying that we have a fall off or the PIOJ thing whereby we have the economy stalled within the last 3 months, that lead their news. But if the POJ will say the economy go by 3 or 4%, it's down in the news, you're going to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamaica, I don't know where we're going, but it is just plain for everybody to see. And I don't know what is with a lot of people. So Carl is on the phone every day talking about British citizen. No, guess what? How important is that to people's life and people everyday life? Yeah, some things they need to let go. You come on every day with the same thing. You know, that line of argument is redundant. Just let go of some things. There are more important things in terms of our democracy is at stake. So what you find, I am saying to you, it must be put on the front burner and people speak about it. How is it that less than 24 hours the General Secretary can put forward something and we have a report?
I hear you.
And I'm telling you that before the rest of this 9 months, they are going to come out with the reports strategically in terms of to sway the voting public.
I hear you, Peter, but we're going to have to leave it at that. All I can say is Dr. Campbell is very well informed. We can't say to wait.
But the Integrity Commission is supposed to be an independent commission with people of integrity. So if we're getting leaked reports and whatever,
we do not know if we do not have any information to suggest said report has been leaked. All I can say is.
So convenient, you know.
But I hear you, Peter. But we have to wrap up. But there's a few things I'd like to say before we wrap up. All right. But I hear you.
Thank you, Peter. All
right. So I see Ricardo Bacchus asking which people in government received more than a 300% increase. Fortunately, much of this information is public information, and I did a report on this when it happened, and this was back in the 11th of August 2023. And just to name a few, social workers received an increase of 400%. That's social workers. Audiovisual technicians received an increase of 312%. We have what else? The highest pay scale for teachers. That's school principals, primary school principals, received an increase of 266%. And you have the deputy mayors who received an increase of 273%. And the cabinet ministers and the Gordon House MPs received, their increase was 203%. So there are quite a few categories of workers that received far larger sums than those member of parliaments and the cabinet ministers. Just to point that out. And on the other matter, before we wrap up, this is just going to be quick. We know what the special report from the Integrity Commission is. We do not know what the findings of those reports are and what is the ultimate indicative ruling. So before anybody starts saying it go this way or it go that way, please, let's wait till we actually see the document and understand what has been found by the Integrity Commission in relation to Andrew Holness's statutory declaration. So I'm going to leave it at that. We don't have the information as what is in that document. So we're going to leave it there. It is 7:59, and we thank our YouTubers or callers and all the people in Radioland who tune in, and it has been, as I said, a privilege to serve you all. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
My name is Sanjay Louis. Special thanks to those in the YouTube chat, as Siobhan indicated. My friend Marigold, thank you as always for encouraging individuals to like the YouTube channel. Please go like and subscribe. And I want to wish you a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path."